Sometimes in life, for whatever reason, you gotta make a fake drum room. But luckily, it's dead simple to do. As long as we've got drum overheads and 4 plugins, then we can do this. So let's dive into the computer and I'll show you how it's done. Alright, so just to speed this video along, I've already gone ahead and done everything. So now I'll just walk you through how to create this fake drum room. So like I said, we want to make a copy of the overheads, which I've already done here. Now all we need is the overheads. We don't need any of the close mics. Room mics on drums and close mics on drums are going to hear 2 very different things. This is why all we need is the overheads. So here's what we're starting with. So those are our overheads. So the first thing we need is a stereo delay. So what we want to do is make sure that our stereo link is on. Make sure the feedback and the crossfeed are set to 0, because we're not actually using this to create a delay effect, we're just using this to delay the overheads. Because the room mics are further away from the drum kit, the sound hitting the room mics in real life would be delayed. And we're going to do that by setting our delay time. Now, because we've made a copy of the overhead track, when we're setting the delay time, we need to listen to a couple of things. Otherwise, things can sound a little phasey and weird. So when you're setting your delay time, make sure that you're listening to the rest of the drums. And you want to find a sweet spot where you're not losing any low end, the cymbals and hi-hats don't sound weird, phasey, and washy, and you're not hearing any flamming, which in this example was 13 milliseconds. Which if we were to go by the approximate speed of sound, this would mean that our fake room mics are about 13 feet away from the kit. So the next plugin we're going to need is an EQ. So what we want to do with the EQ is we want to set a high pass filter at around 50 Hz, give or take. Reason being, think proximity effect. Room mics on a drum kit are going to be further away from the drum kit, so they're not going to hear as much low end. So about 50 Hz is a good ballpark to start. Now also, room mics in real life aren't going to hear the same amount of high end as say a pair of overheads would, because again, they're further away from the kit. So in this instance, I've got mine set at 3K with a gentle slope at 6 dB. The delay's on, I'll turn this on, you can hear how this sounds so far. And I'll turn the EQ off. Alright, so with that done, let's move on to the next plugin, which would be a Transient Designer. Alright, so with the Transient Designer up, you also have to remember that room mics aren't going to hear the same level of attack as, again, say a pair of overheads, just due to the distance from the kit. So in this case, I brought the attack all the way down, and because room mics are hearing drums in a room, that's a lot of sound filling a room, I've also bumped the sustain up just a little bit. So I'll play it without it, and then I'll turn it on. Let's turn it on. Starting to sound more like a room. So the last thing we need to add is a little bit of reverb. So here's our reverb. I've just picked a room. And what we want to do with the reverb is we don't want them to sound like the room mics are drenched in reverb, like you just added reverb to it. What we're trying to do is just make our fake drum room sound a little more realistic. So you can see I've got the dry cranked up over here and the wet is only pulled up just a little bit. Also in the case of Logic's reverb, I've got the high spread and the low spread turned all the way off. And that's partially because room mics on a drum kit don't actually hear a very wide picture of the kit. So this just helped narrow it down a little bit. And also because we added the stereo delay to delay the signal, make sure that the pre-delay is also set to 0. Now I'll play this quickly with it off and then I'll turn it on. Now the reverb on. Again, the reverb's subtle, but we're not trying to make it sound like we added reverb. We want it to sound like this is the natural room. And again, like I mentioned, room mics on a drum kit don't hear a super wide picture of a kit. So as a last little bonus tip, you can also narrow how wide the room mics are. In Logic, you would set this to the stereo pan and then adjust. Pro Tools, I think, has a pan for each left and right. You can do it that way, but you can narrow these a little bit. All right, so now I'll just play this without the fake drum room, and then I'll bring the fake drum room in. All right, now with the fake drum room. All right, so if you found this video helpful, it would be awesome if you hit the like button. That would be super cool. Just want to thank everyone for watching, and as always, I've been Mr. Jeff, and I'll see you guys in the next one, so take it easy.